Eric, I do want to ask you, when he touched on it, Raj touched on it, so now's a good time to talk about it too. The John Cena retirement tour, a lot of people were kind of frustrated with this past weekend. I mean, they had more press for this show than any show besides WrestleMania all year. I mean, they were all over ESPN to the point that last Saturday on game day, which is a staple amongst college football fans, before they picked football games, Eric, they picked, who do you have tonight, Brock Lesnar or John Cena? So that's about as prime time and mainstream as you can get. But then before the bell rang, we saw Paul Heyman reunite with Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar pretty much just ran through John Cena. And I kind of thought and assumed the only way this makes sense is if in John's final match, he finally beats Brock Lesnar and overcomes him. And maybe that's the story, is that he'll beat Brock in his last match. But Brian Alvarez has come out and said that is not the plan. They've wrestled for the last time.
Today we'll be reacting to Eric Bischoff and his thoughts on John Cena's farewell tour. Did WWE mess up his farewell tour, John Cena's? Let me know in a comment if you guys think John Cena's farewell tour was a mess.
And John Cena just took an ass whooping on his retirement tour. People are upset by this. You used to book for Heat. Eric, what do you think of that creative?
If the story going forward is as you previously laid out, and this ends up with John and Brock in John's final match, and John finally overcomes, it's a redemption story.
Yes.
I love redemption stories. They always work for me. If it's a Disney redemption story, I'll actually shed a tear or two. If there's a dog involved, I'll be a bawling idiot. So I hope that that is the case. If it's not the case, and it was just what they did that night, that would be worrisome to me. That would be worrisome to me, because look, I don't want to speculate. I don't like doing that. I don't like when other people do it, so I'm not going to speculate. But if it's part of a story, I think it'd be a great story, because redemptions always work. If it wasn't part of the story and it was just, well, here's what we're going to do tonight and why, not good. But we'll find out.
Raj, have you heard the rumor and innuendo that allegedly that creative was changed the morning of? Eric, I don't know that you saw this, but there was a report that said going into the show all week, creative had it that John Cena was going over. And allegedly that changed that morning. What do you make of that, Raj? Have you heard that?
I did hear that online. I haven't seen that reported, by PW Insider or Fightful or some of the other larger
credible. I'll say it for you. Credible, fucking right. Credible.
Yeah, credible sources. But I just think it doesn't. People at this stage of Cena's career, fans don't want to see him getting murdered on his way out. Now, I agree 100% with what Eric said. If it's part of a bigger story where it leads to redemption, he finally gets that big win, then that's great. That's fantastic. But Lesnar's a made guy. He doesn't need this win. We want, fans want to see Cena play the hits on his way out, have fun with them, and then see him, go out as a hero. And just seeing him get murdered just is not, just seems tone deaf to me, even if that's what Cena wanted.
I can't. No, just listening to you, Raj, I can't believe that this is anything but a story. Just listening, because you saw it, listening to you describe it, I can picture it. I can't imagine that this is anything but a story.
I hope you're right.
I hope.
I hope you're right.
Otherwise, the dark side won.
Right. Because they are going with AJ Styles next. I mean, that is Cena's next opponent. So
good. That'll be
seemingly fun. Moving away. So we'll see if they come back to Lesnar for that last Saturday night's main event in December. Then all that hate was for naught.
Hey, Eric, I want to tell you, John Cena, because I think this is interesting, as we're recording just 2 days ago, tweeted this out. I want to thank @Triple-H for being flexible here and rewarding the true driving force behind hashtag Cena versus Styles, the fans. 2 posts, over 10 million views, and so many of you let yourself be heard. Hashtag WWE Crown Jewel Perth and at AJ Styles. You'll get my everything. Listening to our audience is always what's best for business. I'm grateful to all of you for choosing my next opponent, LFG. To me, that feels like there's some politics behind that tweet. What do you think, Eric?
No, I just think it's magic marketing. What he's done is he's made the audience a part of his journey.
Yes.
He's connecting with the audience in an active, engaging way that no other form of television can accomplish. It's just so uniquely opportunistic for WWE and sports entertainment. And that was a masterful example of how to use social media to advance your brand, your story, whatever it is you're doing. That was just masterful.
Raj, I want to get your take on the John Cena retirement tour. You know, the only thing we have to compare this to here in America is the recent Sting retirement tour with AEW last year. Earlier this year, we had Goldberg in WWE. And if you want to go overseas, in recent years, we've seen Jushin Thunder Liger and Great Muta and now Tanahashi on his own farewell tour. I feel like WWE fans have been more frustrated with the John Cena retirement tour than perhaps any of those others. Why do you think fans are struggling with this? Does Triple H not know what these fans want? Is he struggling with how do we transition John Cena out? Why are fans seemingly dissatisfied with the Cena retirement tour relative to all these others?
Well, I think a big reason is that Cena is the biggest star in the post-Attitude Era era. You know, he's been the number one guy over the last 25 years, and I think fans just, even people that hated Cena back in the day, they want to see him get the big hero's retirement. And as many times as WWE has done these retirement tours and things like that, it's hard to say how many times they've actually really nailed it. And you look at their biggest legends, Hogan, Savage, they never really got that, really great send off. And so I think fans just want to see that for Cena. And you had the failed heel turn. Right now they're out of dates for Cena, which is why they're doing his build with AJ Styles over social media, because they're almost out of his dates. So I don't even know if Cena will make any TV appearances before that match with AJ, maybe one. So it just feels like not the most well planned out thing. And when it started out with him turning heel with The Rock there, it looked like it was going to be something huge, and it's just been kind of a disappointment ever since. And I think fans just expected more and really wanted to see a great storyline for Cena heading out.
Eric, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but if you were going to give a grade to the Cena retirement tour so far, let's pretend we're in school. Is WWE getting an A, a B, a C, a D? What letter score would you give the retirement tour so far, creatively?
Well, the first thing I would do is check the box office and the gate, see how the revenues are doing, and judge that against my expectations. Number one, but number two, just looking at fan reaction.
They tried the heel turn.
Yeah, no, that's a weird one. I think if I take that out, they're basically giving the audience what they want, which is a version of Raj's point, which I agree with. People want to see it's a hero's journey. It's the easiest story. It's the story that's been told more often than any, and the one that always works.
They're right for the most part. John Cena's farewell tour was supposed to be a celebration of one's wrestling biggest legends, but instead it's turning into a mess. Rather than giving fans a clear, emotional send-off that honors his legacy, the booking feels like it's all over the place. Cena deserves rivalries with real storytelling weight, opponents that push him to the limits, and matches that feel like events. Instead, the tour feels more like just random appearances strung together and real no direction, in my opinion.
It's hero's journey. And the heel turn attempt, it's like, yeah, maybe the end of the movie ended up being pretty good, but you got up and walked out mentally or emotionally during the first 15 minutes of the movie because it just didn't make any sense. And you kind of opted out. Didn't understand it. Didn't hit you in the feels the way you thought it would, the way you wanted it to. Just felt and it's hard to get it back. So I think that had a lot to do. I'd give it a C. Now, if you take the heel turn or whatever that was, take that out and just look at the rest of it, probably a B or a C, or excuse me, maybe an A minus, a B. It's been pretty good, except for the way it started. And maybe based on what happened with Brock, I don't know, maybe continuing. I absolutely agree with Raj. I think if they would have set up just give everybody what they want is to see the guy go. Everybody would love to see Babe Ruth hit his last home run. Nobody wants to see Babe Ruth strike out. You know what I mean? If you could go back in time, how many people would say, I want to go back in time. I want to be there when Babe Ruth grabs his last at bat, but I want to see him strike out. No? Same thing here.
Well, John Cena over on his Instagram posted a pretty classic photo where it's the guy pointing at his eyes. I'm the boat captain now. And I think the inference is he's going to try to put his hands on the steering wheel a little bit here as we wind down the retirement tour. And I think that's well deserved. Good for him. Creatively, though, at this point, can you still tell a story, Eric? Or is it better to just have a simple celebration of his career? Because we've got so few dates left, it makes it more challenging, right?
Well, we just laid out a great story here, right?
If they'll go with it, yeah.
Yeah, that. Could they? Sure. Will they? Probably not, because there isn't a lot of time, unless he extends his tour to include WrestleMania, and he ends up with Brock at WrestleMania. Yeah, that'd be all right.
It's fun.
That would be the only thing that makes sense, if a redemption story with Brock Lesnar. I don't know if I want to see that, to be honest. I don't know why Brock Lesnar would be Cena's last fight. Should be like Kurt Angle or somebody, or I don't even know, but it shouldn't be Brock Lesnar. This whole thing just feels rushed and undercooked, and I guess just filling airtime and cementing his final chapter. But you guys let me know about John Cena's last matches, his last tour dates. How you guys feel about John Cena's last moments with us?